What is up everyone and welcome to the final Pokémon Legends Z-A trailer breakdown. Hold up, what do you mean final trailer? There's still a whole month left until the game comes out. Surely there's more news coming, right? Well, at least according to the official Japanese Pokémon YouTube channel, this is the final trailer. But it is worth noting that this specific version of the trailer hasn't been posted on any of Pokemon's other channels. So it is possible they could post another slightly different trailer right before release exclusively on the English channels, but I wouldn't count on it. So get ready because this final trailer comes packed with a lot more secrets and hidden details you might not have noticed or totally missed if you only saw the Nintendo Direct trailer. So don't forget to leave a like if you're excited and let's get right into it. The trailer begins with our character riding a train into Lumiose City. And the first thing you might notice is our character's wearing a plain white t-shirt with no green jacket over it, as we learned that you actually get this later on when you join Team MZ. But previous trailers had shown us wearing this jacket even during the starter select, whereas now we can see that's not the case. Just a little bit of trailer trickery I noticed, but thanks to the demo gameplay we know that our first mission in Lumiose is to chase down a Pancham that steals our bag. Which of course begs the question, what's in the bag? Maybe it's just clothes in there? Or perhaps the 100 Pokeballs you get for pre-ordering the game. Though it seems like we leave this bag in our room at Hotel Z, so it might not be that important. Anyway, during the starter select, you can also spot this billboard in the background with a Greninja on it, possibly just hinting what's coming later in the trailer, but I do wonder what this billboard could be advertising in-game. In some of the demo gameplay, we'd seen this same billboard displaying a different ad for what looks like the Trainer PR Studio, a feature from the original Pokemon X and Y that let you create short videos with your Pokemon. Keep in mind this was back in 2013, and since then short-form videos have absolutely taken over the internet, so I would not at all be surprised to see this feature return. But next we get a shot of some other Pokemon hanging out by this electrical grid, which looks way too small to power up all of Lumiose to me, but immediately after we finally get our first look at the original Kalos Starter trio back in Lumiose. I still can't believe Game Freak managed to hold off showing them for this long. This does bring up the question though of how they'll be obtainable in ZA. And though many fans have speculated it could be similar to how we got the Kanto starters back in X and Y, I do wonder if instead they might just be catchable in the wild, like the Sinnoh starters were in Legends Arceus. It's hard to tell from this trailer, as the Fennekin at least seems to belong to a trainer, but Froakie and Chespin just look like they're hanging out in the open, so my guess would be they're just really rare encounters that can be found and caught in the city. Speaking of rare encounters, we then get to see quite a rare sight, the Lumiose Catacombs. Or just sewers. I mean, you can clearly see some pipes running through the top there, so let's not get our hopes too high. But this is something fans have theorized about pretty much since the games were first announced, as of course the real-life city of Paris, which Lumiose is based on, has a network of creepy tunnels running underneath it containing the graves of millions of old dead Parisians. Maybe not something Pokemon would include in their game. What I'm really wondering is just how far these tunnels stretch. I did spot what looks like an entrance to one of these tunnels in the Mega Malamar trailer, though there seems to be water leading into it. I'm not sure if we can go in the water in ZA, but again, this has been long rumored. Cool to finally get some confirmation we'll at least be able to explore some kind of sewer tunnel. But next we get a little recap on Team MZ, our friendly rivals in this game, followed by our induction into the team at the end of our first night in Lumiose, as we see our character still not wearing the jacket. Translating the text reinforces that Tawny and Team MZ as a whole's goal is to save Lumiose. So off we venture into Lumiose, and in the next scene we spot something quite peculiar inside Wild Zone 7. These thorns growing out of the grass, which it seems like you can target. Now in the demo there were some breakable rocks blocking off certain areas, but at least Chikorita's attacks didn't seem to do anything to them, so I speculate we probably need a specific move like Rock Smash. But as for the thorns, I assume any fire type move could probably burn them. But the more important question here is, what do you get from these? One might assume some kind of materials, but there doesn't seem to be a crafting system in this game like there was in Legends Arceus, or even craftable TMs like Scarlet and Violet, so dropping materials seems unlikely. I mean, if I had a guess, maybe they drop a specific item you can trade with vendors, kind of like the Mega Crystals drop Mega Shards, which you can only trade at Quasartico. Your guess is as good as mine, so let me know if you have any other theories as to what these thorns could be. But next we get another look at the Rotom phone in action. We've definitely seen it in previous trailers, how you can fly from roof to roof, but the eShop site recently expanded on this feature, calling it the Roto Glide, which it seems like you don't get from the beginning of the game. I do wonder what would happen if we failed one of these jumps though. I mean, there's definitely player damage, at least in the Rogue Mega battles. In Legends Arceus, you could straight up perish if you fell from high enough, so is there more than just a black screen in Z-A? After a little bit of character customization, we get right back to the adventure and confirm that you can actually catch some of the wild Pokemon roaming the city even outside of the wild zones. That was probably expected, as we'd seen, I believe, some Trubbish hanging out in the alley and a flock of Pidgey flying away, but I wondered if these would actually be catchable, as it looked like a scripted scene. And in past trailers, we've definitely seen some other Pokemon outside the wild zone, so as long as you're able to sneak up on them, it seems like you can catch pretty much any Pokemon that doesn't belong to a trainer. But next we get a couple shots of the important characters we'll be meeting in the story, followed by a quite interesting scene of this park fading into a wild zone. Going back and forth, I think it's pretty clear this is the exact same area transforming. And thanks to the demo, we've confirmed that as you progress in the game, more wild zones become available. This one in the latest trailer being Jean Plaza, as we'd seen in a previous trailer, is Wild Zone 8. Can't help but feel like this is a bit of a downgrade for Jean Plaza though. I mean, they got rid of the trees just to add a bunch of sand. I'm sure the Pokemon that get to live here now are pleased, but I can't imagine the vendors are too happy having to relocate their stalls. Not to mention the homeless that can no longer break their spines trying to sleep on these benches. Maybe this whole urban redevelopment plan isn't such a good idea after all. But anyway, the trailer then transitions right into night, and we get to see our trainer take on a familiar face. It might not exactly be the infamous Lumiose Ghost Girl, but it is pretty cool seeing the Hex Maniac in-game, as I believe we'd previously only seen one in the Lumiose map artwork. I love her design here though, especially the Chandelure bow tie. And even though this is just a regular Hex Maniac, I'm sure I'm not the only one that wants to see the Ghost Girl return in Z-A. Moving on though, we finally get to the big reveal of this trailer, the Kalos Starters Mega Evolutions. And I'm just now noticing they're first shown off as part of the Z-A Battle Club, this game's multiplayer mode. No doubt hinting at the less than ideal method in which you obtain their new Mega Stones. I actually dedicated a whole video just to these new Mega Evolutions, and I still have a lot more to say, but for now, let's move on to the rest of this trailer, continuing with the reveal of some new Rogue Mega Evolutions. I'd been wondering if any of the new Megas would be encounterable as Rogues, and here we can confirm that at least one of them definitely will. But first, let's take a look at Mega Baynet using Shadow Clone Double Team, which actually makes clones of it just like in the anime. It's interesting that they have their own HP bars though, as it clearly gives away which ones are the clones, but as you can see, the clones can also attack you, which adds an interesting layer of strategy, letting you choose if you want to destroy the clones or try to avoid them and go for the real guy. Anyway, we then see Mega Camerupt using Earth Power, and for some reason our rival Lita still using Staryu, even though this Camerupt is level 34. Things should have definitely evolved by now, but finally we get to the Rogue Mega Dragonite at level 59. As we learned from some of the previous trailers, if you manage to defeat one of these Mega Rogue Pokemon, you'll earn its respective Mega Stone after, which means for those hoping to use a Mega Dragonite on their team, you probably won't be able to get it until pretty late in the game. But I mean, Dragonair evolves pretty late anyway, so it does make sense. This makes me wonder just how many Mega Evolutions we'll have to take down as Rogues though. As we know, some Mega Stones are instead obtained by trading at Quasartico, and some will even be available to purchase at the Stone Emporium. I even noticed in one of the demo gameplays what looks like a Mega Stone you can just pick up from the ground. I mean, it doesn't look like a regular item, and it's glowing pink just like Mega Evolution, so it's hard to say exactly what this item could be, but it certainly looks most like it could be a Mega Stone. So it seems Mega Stones will be obtainable in quite a few different ways, but at least for now we know of just 6 that you'll have to take down as Rogues. Moving on, there's another shot of our character eating at the cafe with Totodile, and I believe we've seen a similar shot with Chikorita and maybe some other Pokemon. The eShop site actually confirms that this cute little interaction actually has an in-game purpose, as it'll not only restore your Pokemon's health, but also make them friendlier towards you. I guess they're basically like a secondary Pokemon Center with an added benefit, but it'll probably cost some money. And then we get to this very interesting battle scene. Taking a look at the background, clearly looks like a restaurant, and there's even what looks like a sushi logo on the door. That's right, the Sushi High Roller returns once again. In case you don't remember, in Pokemon X and Y, there were 4 restaurants in Lumiose that served up not just delicious food, but even more delicious battles in double, triple, and rotation formats. First, you choose a meal you want to eat, and the employee will tell you how many turns you should battle for. If you manage to finish the battle in exactly the amount of turns they said, you'll be rewarded handsomely, mostly with valuable treasure items that you can sell. Now, of course, in Legends Z-A, there's no longer turns, so I expect these challenges will be a little different, and from the looks of this trailer, they may not exactly be double, triple, or rotation battles either. While at first glance it may look like a double battle with 4 Pokemon on the field, upon closer inspection you might notice that all 3 of these Pokemon seem to be targeting our own Abomasnow. So this might actually be a 3 versus 1. Hardly seems fair, but considering Sushi High Roller was the hardest restaurant to get into, I assume in ZA it'll also be a post-game challenge. I do wonder how the other restaurants could work though. We've only seen the 2-star one, which could feature 2 versus 1 battles. Lumiose is a lot bigger this time around, so there could be even more restaurants than in the original X and Y, but pretty awesome seeing the Sushi High Roller come back. I think it was even in Alola and another game, so this really is the restaurant that just keeps on giving. But now we get to the end game, not just for this trailer, but also seemingly ZA, as the entire Prism Tower itself is seen to be overflowing with mega energy. The next few clips all seem to line up like an epic showdown against Zygarde atop Prism Tower, but among these we also see the Rust Syndicate followed by these 2 peculiar logos. The left one looks to be a banner planted in a park, and to me at least has a sort of traditional Japanese look to it, while the one on the right is a lot more modern and bubbly with colors that honestly first reminded me of Iono, you know, the world famous streamer from Paldea, but I highly doubt she'll be in ZA, right? We know there will be no gyms like traditional Pokemon games, but certain trainers like Corbeau, the leader of the Rust Syndicate, sort of fill the role of gym battles with type-specific teams. It's safe to guess that these 2 logos belong to other groups or organizations in Lumiose, perhaps led by trainers that will serve a similar purpose as special trainers in the ZA Royale that you participate in promotion matches against. It's hard to guess exactly what types or even what these groups are based off their logos, but if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Finally, we get to this scene of Floette using its signature move, Light of Ruin, seemingly protecting us and our rival from... I'm not sure, because it then cuts to a scene of Zygarde powering up on top of this building, but if you pay close attention you'll notice that our character isn't wearing the Team MZ jacket yet in the scene with Floette, but is wearing it in the following scene with Zygarde, so these 2 shots take place on entirely different days. Now we know from the demo that our first night in Lumiose we actually get caught up in the battle zone, so it looks like AZ's Floette will bail us out, but what it could actually be fighting off, I mean, must be quite a formidable opponent for it to be using such a powerful attack against it. From the demo we also learned that Zygarde seems to be our ally, helping us get up to the roof to fight Rogue Mega Absol. And our character's face here doesn't exactly make him look like he's scared, so I don't think we'll necessarily be fighting against Zygarde here. But it definitely looks like it's gathering up cells to power up, which makes me wonder if we even have to gather the cells to transform Zygarde ourselves in this game. We'd previously seen one of its cells up on the roof of Hotel Z, and in previous games you of course had to collect these in order to transform your own Zygarde, but this cutscene's making it look like Zygarde will just transform as part of the story in ZA, so maybe we won't have to collect its cells ourselves. Will Prism Tower itself be the final boss of this game? Is Munch ever gonna talk about the Mega Kalos Starters? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z-A! Kidding, of course, there's still the biggest reveal of this trailer to talk about. Mega Chestnut, Mega Delphox, and Mega Greninja are finally confirmed. However, obtaining them in ZA may not be as simple as you think, as the end of the trailer confirms that you can only get their respective Megastones by participating in this game's online multiplayer mode, the ZA Battle Club. I also made a full video breaking down exactly how this mode will work, but the gist of it is 4 players fight in a free-for-all, and you get points for knocking out opponents' Pokemon. Whoever has more points at the end places higher, and based on your placement, you earn points to rank up, similar to how you rank up in the story mode's own ZA Royale. This is where it gets tricky though, because at least based off what I understand from the website, seems like you might still earn some points even if you get 4th place, just a lot less than if you win, of course. But as for the Kalos Starters Megastones, it looks like you'll have to reach a certain rank in order to earn them at the end of the season. Now, what do I mean by season? Well, we don't know exactly how often yet, but it seems like your rank in the ZA Battle Club will completely reset every so often. Again, we don't know exactly what rank you have to reach, like if it's just rank X for example and you start at Z, then it won't take that long to get each Megastones, but if they make it higher ranks, and we know at least in the ZA Royale, the higher you climb, the more points you need to rank up, then that's a lot of time you have to commit to playing the multiplayer mode, which a lot of people in my comments mentioned they play Pokemon exclusively as a single player experience. It's kind of lame that they're basically forcing you to participate in the online mode. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that you need the Nintendo Switch Online to even participate in these online battles, so it might not be that expensive, but that means these Megastones are technically paywalled, which a lot of people are not happy about. These are the Mega Evolutions that a lot of fans were most looking forward to using in this game. The website does mention that some of these Megastones may return in future seasons, which means if you miss out on them at first, you can get them later on, but it still seems to be through the ZA Battle Club, the online mode, and it specifically says that they will not be obtainable through normal gameplay, so for players that only like Pokemon as a single-player experience, or those that don't have access or don't want to pay for the Nintendo Switch Online, that means you basically can't get these Megastones any other way, since I assume you can't trade them either. I know I'm not the only one that was looking forward to using one of the Kalos starters in my playthrough alongside the actual starters from ZA, but seems that won't be possible. At least we'll be able to use them in the DLC, right? I know I'm far from the only one that was absolutely flabbergasted at the announcement of Legends Z-A DLC before the actual game has even come out. And though I admit maybe I overreacted a little bit, I mean other companies have long normalized having day 1 DLC, I still think it's just a little bit shady, and I hope the DLC is at least comparable to some of the ones we got in Scarlet and Violet with lots of content, considering it'll cost you an extra $30. Some people seem to believe this $30 price tag may include another future DLC, kind of like Scarlet and Violet's Hidden Treasure of Area Zero had 2 parts, but the marketing so far definitely makes it look like this is just one expansion. So what exactly is this Mega Dimension anyway? Well, it all seems to revolve around one particular mythical Pokemon originally introduced in the Kalos games, the mischievous Hoopla! This Pokemon is most known for its ability to create portals into other worlds and dimensions, even bringing out legendaries from across space-time during its movie. Judging by this screenshot on the official site, it looks like we'll be able to go through one of Hoopa's rings to access a mysterious place known as Hyperspace Lumiose. Kinda crazy, cause ever since ZA was announced, pretty much everyone has been wondering if at some point we'll be able to venture outside of Lumiose. But now we actually have a DLC, and you'll never guess the wild location it's taken us to, Lumiose, another version. And don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of potential for this Hyperspace Lumiose to look really cool. I mean, I can't be the only one that immediately thought back to the Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon games, where you get to visit this super sick Tron-esque cyber city called the Ultra Megalopolis, complete with a large tower at its center. It's probably just coincidence, but how crazy would it be if Hyperspace Lumiose actually ends up being the Ultra Megalopolis? But the trailer doesn't actually show us what it'll look like, as through the portal we only get to see this timey-wimey tunnel with lots and lots of Megastones coming out of it. Clearly, the main selling point of this DLC with the name Mega Dimension is of course the fact that it will add even more new Mega Evolutions, which made the surprise reveal of Mega Raichu X and Y finally hit. At least for people that had seen the leaks, of course. Since these 2 Mega Evolutions weren't included there, it was quite an awesome surprise. But among these new Megastones that show up in Hoopa's portals, There's a particular one that has gone viral in this tweet from an old PokeTuber I used to watch, renewing hope in fans that we may just get to see a particular Mega Evolution after all. But if these stones really do represent other new Mega Evolutions we've yet to see even in the leaks, what other Mega Evolutions would you like to see? Finally, it's worth mentioning that the DLC will be compatible with both the original Switch and Switch 2 versions of ZA, so if you still haven't sold your kidney to buy a Switch 2, don't worry, you don't have to do it for the DLC either. It will become available to purchase literally the same day as Legends ZA comes out though, and if you do happen to buy it early, you'll unlock these super duper cool holo X and Y fits, which I'm honestly not a huge fan of, but if you buy the DLC before February 28th, you'll also receive a code to download a special set of Pokeballs that I'll just show on screen. But I find that date kind of interesting. One, because it's the day right after Pokemon Day, which next year will be Pokemon's 30th anniversary, and likely when Gen 10 will be announced. But also because it could indicate when the DLC will actually release. I mean, personally, I think it'll come out a lot sooner than that, as the website straight up says it will come out soon after the main game, and February isn't exactly soon. So my prediction would be that the Mega Dimensions DLC will likely come out in December, maybe even November, like exactly a month after ZA. Because you know Nintendo's gonna want to maximize sales before the holidays. But that finally covers everything you missed from the latest batch of Legends ZA news, and assumedly the last bits of information we'll be getting for the game before launch, since they are calling this the final trailer after all. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak in one actual last final little trailer right before launch. Because it seems weird to me, there's still a little over a month left and there's just gonna be nothing until then. I would have loved to see a couple more Mega Evolution reveals, especially with how unique the Mega Malamar, Victory Bell, and Hawlucha reveals were. Feels like Pokemon may have blown their load a bit too soon to line up with that Nintendo Direct, but this was undoubtedly the biggest reveal that many were waiting for, so will it be enough to convince those last few fans that still weren't convinced to buy Legends ZA? With that Day 1 DLC and the Megas being locked behind FOMO, I'm not so sure. No doubt this game will still sell insanely well, but I can't help feel like many longtime Pokemon fans are still feeling like there's something missing in this game. Perhaps the lack of exploration outside Lumiose, or the seemingly smaller scope of the story and adventure compared to previous titles. It certainly feels like Game Freak is putting all their eggs into this new real-time battle system, and heavily relying on the nostalgia of Mega Evolutions, which has proven to be quite a powerful selling tactic in the past. But for those that have still been left expecting a little bit more out of this game, seems like you'll have to keep holding on hope until the next generation. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to my channel, as I'll of course be doing a full playthrough of Legends ZA on release, and of course covering any news if there happens to be any more before it comes out.